You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the pod. It is fucking July when you're listening to this. It is not July when I'm recording it, but it is July when you're listening to it, and I cannot believe it. We are more than halfway through 2022, and you know what that means? July, it's the month of the motherfucking From Imposter to Empowered program launch. I've been hinting this to you guys for weeks now. And it is my 16-week program. The From Imposter to Empowered program is my 16-week program for coaches like you to bust through those mindset blocks, the mindset bullshit, all the imposter syndrome, all the self-doubt and fear, so you can confidently sign clients and create a profitable and abundant as fuck coaching business, right? We take the work that we've been doing on the podcast and we take it so much deeper in the From Imposter to Empowered program. My clients in this program have left their full-time jobs, signed four-figure clients, healed years of trauma and anxiety, and honestly, the transformations are fucking mind-blowing. Like, they are mind-blowing. Like I said, it's a 16-week group program, so that means that it's 4 months. And the launch officially begins next week on Thursday, July 14th. But right now, you can join the waitlist. And if you join the program within the first 5 days of our launch, starting next Thursday, you will get $111 off the investment. But that's only if you're on the waitlist. The investment is 3333. Angel numbers out the ass. And payment plans are available, but there is also a VIP option where you will get 2 one-to-one calls with me. All the info, everything is going to be on the sales page. But first, get on the wait list, and you will get $111 off your investment if you decide to join within the first 5 days of our launch, okay? That is your bonus. And again, link is in my show notes for all the first dibs details and for $111 off the program investment. We love the angel numbers over here. We absolutely love them. And I am really excited for this podcast episode today because we are going quantum, baby. We're going to be talking about this in the From Imposter to Empowered program, but I wanted to give you a little snippet today. We're going to be talking about collapsing time between where you are currently and your results. Now, you guys know I need things to be stupid fucking simple in order to apply them to my business. So let me first debunk quantum leaping if you don't know what that is. So quantum leaping means to create results that put you in an entirely different reality than the one that you're currently in. Kind of like when I was trying to get clients in 2020, which honestly, now when I look back on it, and that's the thing. With quantum leaping, you never actually know that you quantum leapt until you're looking back on it and you're like, holy fuck, things changed really fast. But in March 2020, I had made about $2,000 that month. But in May, I had my first 10K month. And I have only increased my income from there. And that is the example of a quantum leap. When you look back and realize, holy shit, I'm in an entirely different place than before without even realizing what was happening. It doesn't have to be financially either. Like, you don't have to only quantum leap in terms of money. You can be in a different place with your thoughts or with your lifestyle. But also, I think that people think that quantum leaping or quantum jumping comes from random, unrealistic results out of nowhere, but it actually comes from your compounding efforts over time that create the quantum jump, right? Like me, I had been showing up and selling my services and launching since 2018 before I went from like very sporadic income to making consistently 4 and 5 figure months. When it comes to your online business, this is exactly what happens. You are building a body of work, that compound effect that we always talk about, right? And moving people down your funnel each time you show up, market, and sell, which then creates a moment of someone saying yes. And with that momentum, you sign 1, 2, 3 clients, and then you're like, holy fucking shit, I'm booked out. I make multiple 4 figures or 5 figures a month. How the fuck and when the fuck did that happen? So like I said, my results were a quantum leap, but that doesn't mean that they were unexpected. And that's my first lesson. What are you intentionally creating? Are you focused on the reality you want instead of spending too much time living in the reality that you have? When I was working full-time for the government and I wasn't seeing any results in my business yet between 2018 and 2019 and the beginning of 2020, it was so hard to think about what I could create because I was so fucking stuck in my current reality. Something I started doing in late 2019 was future pacing, so scripting every single morning. And this is journaling as if what I'm journaling about is currently happening. So they call it future pacing or scripting when you're talking in the first person as if you had already achieved the thing that you are hoping to achieve. So for example, I would say, I'm so grateful that I make $20K a month and I get to walk Hugo in the middle of the day. At the time though, I was working like 8 to 5 and hadn't made anything close to $20K a month. Like that was a pipe dream. But I did hit my first $20K month in September of 2021, and I had left my job by then. So I was walking Hugo in the middle of the day, realizing that I created the very reality that I was scripting and future pacing about back in 2019 and 2020. But that collapse in time could only happen because I was focused on creating that instead of focusing on why my current reality sucked, right? You may be unconsciously doing this, and to that I say hire a coach and allow that time for you to bitch and complain and get it all out and get your mind blown. And then the rest of the time you can spend marketing as your highest self, showing up and creating that reality, right? Like this is a little bit of a side note, I actually had a time period back in the beginning of 2021 where I wasn't doing that. Like I wasn't focusing on the future results. I was a little bit jaded after a year of like making a lot of money and doing all these things, but like I really did lose a bit of what I was focusing on, and it was obvious in the results that I was getting. But when I was future pacing and scripting, which I then started to do because I realized, I was like, what helped me create the results? And that was something huge. It all started happening again. It's crazy. So powerful. But like I said, hire a coach and focus on your shitty thoughts, your shitty reality, all that stuff during that time. And then every time else, that's not English, but like commit to what you're focusing on. Commit to that, okay? So like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, most people are just constantly recreating the past. But to collapse time, you have to be consciously creating your future. You can choose to think, act, and feel differently whenever you want. Think about this podcast or another podcast where you heard something and things had shifted, right? You had more clarity, you felt better, and something just clicked. And that is an example of a quantum shift. Your cells are different and they're changing. You feel me? So lesson number 1, again, is paying attention to if you're resisting against your current experience instead of thinking about and creating the future. And that is what you need to be doing. Lesson number 2 is doing what your highest self would do. Again, this is why we work on ourselves, right? The mindset work, the inner work, so important. Do you even have a relationship with your highest self? I actually have a podcast episode coming at the end of the month all about this. But one of my favorite thought work activities I created that is so simple but so powerful is the inner imposter versus highest self journaling exercise. You dump out your current shitty thoughts and you respond to each one from your highest self. This is potent, crazy. It works so well. When you are aware that there is a highest version of yourself, you'll ask yourself better questions and get real with yourself about what you would do if you weren't afraid, if you didn't feel like a fraud, if you felt good enough and capable enough. That alone, paired with your inspired action, will create a quantum leap, I promise you. Lesson number 3 is to observe the things that you don't want to take with you in your quantum leap, or something that you imagine yourself to not have that you currently have or are experiencing. So for example, during the pandemic, Dustin and I ordered in so much, like way too much. When I think about what highest self Jill is doing, she doesn't order in as much and she eats food that nourishes her body. Of course, I'm a human being and I love McDonald's, okay? So like, I'm not saying 24/7 all the time, but that was definitely something that I see as a highest version of myself, eating healthy and taking care of her body. So what things do you do or say or act like that you know you wouldn't in your quantum leap? These are good questions to ask yourself. It's the same thing with like showing up online, being judgmental of other people, talking a certain way about money, etc. But here's the thing, okay? This is more than just identifying something that you don't like and then not doing it anymore. Especially as someone with ADHD, I have a ton of executive dysfunction, which means I sometimes can't get started or do something even though the intention is there. I know you guys feel me on that, right? What really helped me is getting to the root of why I was doing or saying things in order to curb the habit or behavior, which of course is everything we do in the containers when you come to work with me. Ordering in all of that food was actually covering up some emotional issues that I was dealing with, being overwhelmed with work in my business and life and so not wanting to cook, having undiagnosed ADHD, so my binge eating was an issue, etc. So yes, the action was to stop ordering in as much as we were, but I also had to look at why I was ordering in so much and actually get real with myself. And sometimes that is deeply subconscious and we aren't always aware of it. Now, we're not focusing on all these things and harping on them incessantly. Remember, like we're gently observing and beginning to bit by bit become that highest version of ourselves in every little way that we can. All right, so lesson number 4 now in collapsing time between now and your results is to be responsive instead of reactive. So what do I mean by that? I have a client who had a ton of niche drama before she came to me. She was always wanting to change her niche and then would convince herself no one wants what she's offering. And you know what? Of course they didn't, because there was no consistency there. She was constantly changing things and changing her fucking bio and changing everything because she didn't think that anyone was responding well to her stuff. So she had thoughts of needing to change everything. If you have ADHD, I know you feel that and I know you feel that too. I know that you do, but we have to resist against changing everything all the time, right? And that's why you need the guidance and the support in order to identify, is this an intuitive shift that I really need to make? Or is it my raging ADHD and the need to change shit? Okay. So like I said, there is no consistency there. So she would experience the high of changing things and then she'd be right back to feeling insufficient and not good enough and then react from that place. To collapse time as an online entrepreneur, you have to decide on something and then do it again and again and be responsive to it, which means calculated, sure of yourself, and with massive belief instead of just reacting when you don't get the response that you want. The way you can do this is by, of course, working on your limiting thoughts and beliefs. You have no idea the amount of people who make decisions about their business simply out of fear or not enoughness instead of the decision that is actually a good idea for the scaling of their business. You need to make the decision, stick with it, and try it again and again. And I see this specifically with launches. When I first ran the From Imposter to Empowered program, my launch was amazing. It was so good. I signed so many people. And then I upped the price, but I didn't have my belief behind that price. So for the second round, I increased the price and only 2 people got in the second round. But only 2, again, that's a thought, right? And instead of continuing with that program after that round, which is my best work in terms of group ever. Let me just say that. I thought I was doing something wrong because I wasn't having 6-figure launches. And that all came from the thoughts of I should be in a certain place. It should be working by now. All of these shoulds, right? And I needed to be responsive though, instead of reactive, which would mean that I was assessing my decisions and if they were made out of real strategy or out of fear and self-doubt. But instead, I was reactive and moved on to something new and then grappled with the realization that I already had something amazing and epic in the From Imposter to Empowered program. And that was a huge realization for me, truly. Like, the way you collapse time is by getting better and better at what you're currently doing in terms of action and strategy and changing your internal world so you are the highest version of yourself and acting from that place. And when you do this, anything you execute will work. Anything you execute will be successful. I promise you. So in this example, I needed to work on my fear and my self-doubt and drama over launches instead of changing the strategy of just launching something different and leaving the From Imposter to Empowered program in the dust. Also, strategically, for brand awareness, right? Launching the same thing over and over again and making it better each time is a gold mine for your business. I see it all the time with my clients and my friends in the online space who do this. And finally, lesson 5 is to get support from someone who sees you at the potential that you have instead of indulging where you're at. Now, it's very important for a mentor to meet you where you're at, yes, but indulging it, no. You want a mentor who sees what you can achieve, who believes in you so much that you begin to believe in you too. How I have quantum leapt from my stinky 8-to-5 government job into a multiple 6-figure business in just a couple of years is because I sat my ass down in rooms and with mentors who facilitated that potential in me. As someone who never wanted anything to be about her and hated when the focus was on her, I eased my way into this by investing my money. If I was spending significant coin, I was gonna get my turn to speak, and I was okay with being seen because I was physically invested. I was all in. This doesn't have to be your truth, but for me, I was like, I need to pay money to feel worthy of being seen and spoken to and worked with, you know what I mean? And when you're in the room with people who get you and who are on the same journey as you to their best selves, you are lit the fuck up with a fire you didn't even realize you had. You blow your own mind when you see what is possible around you. So this is a great segue to saying that you need to sign up for the From Imposter to Empowered program waitlist at the link in my show notes if you are ready for your quantum leap. Because we are opening next Thursday and you are going to want to be on the wait list because you're going to save $111 if you join the program within the first 5 days of our launch starting next Thursday, July 14th. Okay? But if you want more intimate mentorship where all the focus is on you and your business, one-to-one coaching is your answer. So both of those links are in my show notes, and I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to find out how you can take this work deeper with me in one-to-one coaching or in the From Imposter to Empowered group program. In the show notes, you'll also find a free 3-day challenge to start the process of overcoming your inner imposter. And once you're done with all of that, screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging me at your coach Jill so we can connect. See you next time.